Thank you so much for your time. This was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and it did not disappoint.
Thank you.
More importantly, my wife, who does not like violence and gore, as soon as the movie ended, she was the first one clapping. She turns to me and says, "That was hilarious."
That's great.
That's huge.
That is huge.
That was huge to me. I was afraid she was going to, I wish it wasn't so violent, otherwise I would have liked it. No, she just said, it was great.
Well, you know what? That is music to our ears, because that is sort of what our intention was. You know, the tone of this film, there's obviously a lot of heart and there's a lot of humor, and we were hoping that those would be sort of softening elements to the violence that there has to be. But, you know, we never wanted the gore to be gratuitous or off-putting for any audience members. We want this to be like a big tent movie that anyone can come and see and leave the theater feeling better than they came in. And we do think that the sort of humor inherent in Nate, the fact that he can't feel pain in the face of all of this gore and horrible violence, it does allow audience members that maybe are a little more queasy about violence to sink their teeth in and still have a great time.
It legitimately, my wife is the test for
That's
that.
great.
And
We're so
you
happy.
passed the
Amazing.
wife test
That's
right
Fantastic
there.
to hear.
On the red carpet last night, we talked about a mutual love for the movie Commando.
Oh, yeah.
Commando is kind of like one of our that we used to watch Commando like every weekend in college.
And it blends the action and the humor so well. And I would say, to your point, this movie did that also. How did you go about trying to craft a movie that's so funny, but it doesn't break the tension in the action?
Yeah, I mean, that was really important to us. You know, we looked at a lot of late 80s, early 90s action movies, especially, you know, Lethal Weapon, Midnight Run, Die Hard. And, you know, I think a lot of those movies are really funny without being like a joke. They're very funny.
comedies.
Exactly, yeah. There's like, there's still stakes. The characters are really going through actual emotional stuff. And yet the fun moments and the funny moments are hilarious, you know, and they're almost made even more funny by the fact that it's not a straight comedy where you're getting a joke every 2 seconds, you know. And yeah, and I think that like there's something about that allows you to let loose as an audience member and realize like, okay, this is supposed to be fun. And I think another thing that, you know, Commando does so well is there are so many incredible one-liners in that. And so we dip our toe in that a little bit here, where there are a few, a couple zingers in this one that Jack gets to drop.
It wouldn't be an action movie
Exactly.
that references 80s and 90s action movies without one-liners.
Exactly.
You know?
Last night, you also referenced the movie Upgrade as an influence on how you did the action. I loved that movie.
Oh, yes.
Can you
Me
unpack
too.
what is about that movie, how the action was choreographed and shot that you used for this film?
Sure, yeah, we love Upgrade too, and made for such a small budget and should have made so much more at the box office. But we're glad that it's been kind of discovered by so many people now. But Upgrade has a shtick to the combat. You know, it's a character who's not in control of their body. You know, the chip is controlling what he's doing. And so that was kind of it's hard to find references for something like that. And we needed that with Nate because there's a shtick to our combat too. He doesn't know how to fight. So we had to develop our own sort of, fight language, our sort of Nate Fu of like this flailing survival combat, you know, where he's just doing anything he can, grabbing anything he can. And we built that with the stunt coordinators, but it was great to have something like Upgrade to reference for what that would be like when a character is not in control of their faculties.
Yeah, it is really similar because in Upgrade, his face is doing one thing, his body's doing another thing.
Right,
and so
right.
there's a very similar thing happening here where it's not quite that Nate's body's doing one thing and his head's doing another. It's just that there is a disconnect where he's not flinching when he's being punched. And so that's something that Jack had to, really work on and learn. And that's something that with our stunt coordinator, they had to practice that. You have to kind of unlearn having to flinch after every punch.
Well, also that juxtaposition creates comedic moments in Upgrade, just like it does Novocaine, and in that kitchen scene when he's just grabbing plates and being like, oh shit, I'm so sorry, that's so funny. And that was when we realized that if you do it right, you can hit those comedic beats really well.
As a quick final question. Sure. Hollywood always wants a franchise. How much have you brainstormed a Novocaine 2?
We've got it ready. You just let Paramount know you want to see it.
Yeah.
I will do everything in my power to do so because I loved the film. I want more of these movies made like back in the day. And it seems like there's a bit of a revival. And thank you for being a part of that.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much, man. We so appreciate it.
Hey, Bobby.
I'm Sean.
Hey, Sean. Nice to meet you, Sean. I'm Dan.
So we don't get a lot of these mid-budget action movies anymore, the movies I grew up with. What was it about this specific story and script that made you want to make this one?
Sure. Yeah, we've wanted to make an action movie forever, and we really just wanted to make sure that when we did that, we picked something that was unique and felt aligned with our sensibilities. And so when we read the script for Novocaine, we immediately thought that the character of Nate, a guy who not only can't feel pain but doesn't know how to fight, was just so unique, and it just felt like it could make an action movie that felt like one you had never seen before. So that definitely kind of drew us to it.
Yeah, and it really works as a mid-budget action movie because, a lot of times the trick with a mid-budget action movie is that it's mid-budget. You don't have a ton of money, and so what happens, you're not going to shoot a good car chase movie for that much. You're not going to shoot something that has tons and tons of extras or crowds, and so the concept itself, it allows it to feel really big and cinematic, and yet the fights themselves are pedestrian enough. There are a couple people in a room and in various environments, but it's the choreography of the fight scenes that makes it feel so unique and something you haven't seen before, because you got a protagonist who doesn't know how to fight, who's getting his ass kicked left and right. It's just your brain is just not used to seeing that. You're used to seeing John Wick kick 8 guys' asses at once, and so I think that it'll be a nice, refreshing little combo breaker for people.
To a bunch of what you just said there, why was Jack Quaid the perfect person to play someone that can't feel pain and doesn't know how to fight?
Because he has he's first off the nicest person in the world,
yes.
And so you buy it immediately. You're like, this man does not know how to fight. You can tell just by looking at him. And yet he is this incredible physical comedian. He has such incredible control over his body, his limbs. He's just a long, lanky guy, and it's just really funny to see him get thrown around a room.
Yeah, we always say, we needed somebody here who could balance, like Bobby said, the comedy, but also there's moments of real emotional heft in this movie, the love story is very, very important, not just between Nate and Sherry, but between Nate and Roscoe, his best friend. And so we needed someone who could handle both of those things. And Jack is kind of an actor in the mold of someone like a Tom Hanks, who can make you, be in stitches laughing, but also can make you cry. And that's kind of a rarity in Hollywood. We don't really have a lot of actors like that. So once we sort of coalesced around the idea of Jack, we knew it had to be him, and we're so lucky that we got him.
Quick question, what's your comfort action movie, the one you can put on at any point in time?
It's probably either Midnight Run or Lethal Weapon for both of us.
Yeah.
Or maybe Commando.
Commando is kind of one of mine. That we used to watch Commando every weekend in college, and actually for my birthday one year, Dan got me 2 pages of the Commando script framed, and it was the remember when I told you I'd kill you last, Sully scene. So I have the 2 pages of that framed in a shadow box because he's the best friend in the world.
Commando was the second R-rated movie I've ever seen, so I've seen it a zillion times.
First?
Bloodsport.
Oh, nice.
I
That's
love
good
that.
back-to-back. That's a good
Yeah,
double feature.
that is a great double feature.
So, thank you much. I'm excited to see it.
Of course. Great to meet you.